Stop wasting another second and take control of your life right now, because this audiobook will show you exactly how to crush procrastination forever and start achieving results every single day. In the next minutes, you will discover 10 life-changing chapters that guide you step by step to take immediate action, build unstoppable daily routines, focus like a laser, eliminate distractions, set clear priorities, develop ironclad self-discipline, break tasks into simple daily steps, use deadlines to enforce follow-through, track your achievements, and reward progress to strengthen habits. This is not theory. Every strategy is practical, actionable, and designed for real results. You will learn how to stop delaying, start doing, and see momentum build in your life immediately. Subscribe to this channel for daily audiobooks that transform your mindset, because we bring you powerful content every day with 0 ads and 100% actionable guidance. Don't wait, your life starts now. Chapter 1. Take immediate action to stop delaying important tasks. The moment of decision is simpler than it feels. The body tightens the chest, the stomach flutters, the mind invents reasons to wait, and the world suddenly becomes full of more urgent, smaller tasks that justify delay. That scene repeats, and each time something important dies a little. The choice to act or to wait is not glamorous. It is quiet, precise, and unromantic. It is also the only place where progress begins. True change starts the instant action replaces hesitation. This chapter is about turning that instant into habit and turning habit into identity. It is about making action automatic so that the noise of resistance no longer holds power over the day. Begin by noticing the physical sensations that come with reluctance. Observe the small heaviness in the shoulders, the quick, shallow breaths, the urge to scroll or to clean or to rearrange papers. Name those sensations and do not argue with them. Stoic practice begins with clear perception. Acknowledge the resistance as a natural reaction, and then move. Acknowledge means to recognize, not to surrender to it. When the heart races, step forward with steady feet. When the mind protests, speak a single sentence to yourself and act. Use the sentence as a bridge between thought and motion. It can be as simple as "start now" or "one step only." That single phrase is your anchor until taking action becomes the reflex. Adopt a simple rule called the 60-second start. When faced with any task that matters, choose one action you can complete in 60 seconds or less, and do it now. Turn on the computer, open a blank document, clear one email from the top of the inbox, write the first sentence or stand and stretch for 60 seconds, then return. The goal is not to finish the project in a minute, but to change the momentum. Motion creates motion. A small completed micro-task generates a chemical reward in the brain and lowers the barrier for the next step. Use a timer and hold yourself to the minute. That tiny victory is proof that you are capable of beginning. Follow the 2-minute rule for habit building. If a habit can be started in 2 minutes, then it can be maintained. Want to write an hour a day? Build the habit by writing for 2 minutes each morning. Want to study for a course? Begin by opening the textbook for 2 minutes. The work will often continue because the start is the hardest part. If the mind still resists, commit to the rule and accept the small start as victory. The work of mastery is slow and granular. Long-term results are built from these repeated short victories. Practice a daily pre-commitment ritual that removes choice at the moment of action. Prepare the environment the night before. Lay out the clothes, place the notebook on the desk, schedule the first block of deep work, and protect it like an appointment with someone important. The Stoics taught control of impressions. Control of your environment is the modern version. When variables are removed, the mind cannot stall with debate. If the environment tempts procrastination, Then change the environment. Phone in another room, website blockers on the browser, a clean desk, a single open document. Design the surroundings so that beginning is the path of least resistance. Use clear, actionable deadlines, not fuzzy goals. Replace "I should write" with "complete chapter 1 by Friday at 9 a.m. A deadline creates an external marker and the mind responds. Break larger deadlines into daily commitments and then into hourly tasks. Plan the first 60 minutes and commit to start at a precise time. Schedule the start and honor the schedule. When the chosen start time arrives, stand up and begin. If the voice of doubt appears, name it and proceed. A deadline is a promise to yourself that matters more than a wish. Employ the pre-mortem exercise before starting a large task. Imagine you have failed and ask what mistakes caused the failure. List them and remove those obstacles before starting. If the imagined failure includes avoidance, then add structure that prevents avoidance. If distraction is the predicted cause, then implement rules that stop distractions. This exercise sharpens foresight and reduces the anxiety that fuels delay. Knowing probable traps in advance makes the first step less ambiguous. Build a short ritual to begin every session. Rituals orient the body and the mind. A simple sequence of actions repeated before work signals seriousness. It could be 3 deep breaths, opening a specific playlist, closing the door, and pouring a glass of water. Rituals create a boundary between distraction and focused work. They engage the body and the senses and anchor the start. Rely on ritual more than willpower. Willpower is finite, ritual becomes automatic. Use task chunking to shrink the psychological size of work. A huge task is a wall. Carve that wall into bricks. Each brick must be a simple, visible forward movement. For example, instead of write chapter, change the task to outline 3 points. Write the introduction, write 5 sentences on concept A. Name the next physical action clearly. Vague instructions fuel avoidance. Precise, clear actions remove the fog and make beginning inevitable. Practice immediate consequence and immediate reward. Consequences should be mild but meaningful and applied right after a miss. If a session is skipped, perform a small corrective action immediately, such as an extra minute of exercise or a short public accountability update. Rewards should be immediate and proportional. After a focused hour, allow 5 minutes of genuine rest or a small treat. The brain learns connections fastest when outcomes are immediate. Use that principle to redirect behavior. Create an accountability system. Tell one trusted person your daily start time and what you will do. Announce it publicly when appropriate. The external expectation adds friction to procrastination. If the commitment is to another person, the mind measures the social cost of delay and often acts to avoid embarrassment. Accountability pairs well with ritual and pre-commitment. It serves as a mirror that reflects whether the action actually happened. Cultivate an identity of action. Statements such as "I am someone who begins" create alignment with behavior. Replace "I will try" with "I start." Identity phrases must be backed by small, consistent actions. Repeat the same 60-second starts, the same rituals, the same deadlines. The repetition embeds the identity and makes procrastination socially and personally inconsistent with who you are. When identity changes, the nature of decisions change. The Stoic focus on virtue becomes practical when virtue is defined as action. Turn attention to sensory detail to anchor presence. Notice the sound of keys, the warmth of the sun on the desk, the feeling of breath entering and leaving the body. Sensory awareness reduces the mind's tendency to wander into justifications and stories. The body is a reliable guide when the mind becomes an excuse factory. Use short mindfulness breaks to return the senses to the present and then resume action. Action grounded in presence feels less heavy and more manageable. When fear of failure fuels delay, treat failure as information, not as final verdict. Each attempt reveals one more fact about the path forward. The Stoic view accepts outcomes outside complete control and focuses on effective effort. Make progress public as a log of experiments. Keep a failure file that lists what did not work and why. Review it regularly to harvest lessons quickly. The faster the feedback loop, the faster the capacity to improve. This mindset converts fear that breeds procrastination into curiosity that produces forward movement. Practice a daily evening review that is short and specific. Note 3 actions started that day, what stopped them, and 1 single improvement for tomorrow. This review develops clarity and a small plan so that the next morning begins with intention, not friction. Habit formation favors repetition and review. A concise daily loop connects practice to learning and keeps procrastination visible and addressable. Finally, accept discomfort as proof of growth. The resistance that appears before action is a signal that something meaningful is at stake. If the task were trivial, there would be no tension. The presence of resistance is a sign that the work matters. Use that signal as a calibration, not as an excuse. Act in spite of the discomfort and notice the energy shift after starting. The muscles of discipline strengthen only through applied tension. Begin the next important task now. Notice the breath, the weight in the chest. Allow the body to feel and the mind to protest, and move your hand. Open a document, write 1 sentence, or stand and take 1 step toward the work. The moment of action is unremarkable and ordinary, and that ordinariness is its secret power. Repeat these small starts, and the life built from them will be steady, confident, and purposeful. Action is not a dramatic transformation overnight. Action is the daily small decision that forms a life worth living. Chapter 2. Build consistent daily routines to achieve lasting results. Success is not built in bursts of frantic energy or last-minute rushes. It is forged in the quiet consistency of daily actions repeated without fail. The power of a well-structured routine is that it transforms the chaotic unpredictability of life into a predictable engine of progress. Routines are not restrictions, they are frameworks that free the mind from endless decision-making. They ensure that energy is not wasted debating what to do next, but is instead invested directly into meaningful work. Building consistent daily routines is about creating a rhythm that carries momentum, habit, and focus into every single day. The first step is clarity. Before constructing a routine, know what outcomes matter most. Identify the activities that contribute directly to your goals, whether professional, personal, or mental. Every habit, every action should be aligned with these core priorities. Remove from the day anything that does not serve growth or progress. This is not about perfection, it is about intentionality. Every decision must be weighed. Does this advance my purpose or dilute it? The moment you start framing your day around intentional action, consistency begins to feel like natural progress, not a forced chore. Begin small and precise. A routine that is overly complex or ambitious collapses under its own weight. Select a handful of key actions to anchor your day. Start with morning and evening blocks, 2 periods that define the beginning and the end. The morning block can focus on preparation, mental clarity, and initial productive work. The evening block can serve reflection, planning, and recovery. In these anchors, consistency is easiest to maintain. Layer new actions gradually, integrating them into this structure only once the previous habits are stable. Growth compounded over time exceeds bursts of sporadic effort. A key principle is temporal structuring. Time, unlike energy or motivation, is finite and absolute. By assigning fixed periods to specific tasks, the brain adapts to expect action automatically. For instance, schedule 1 hour for uninterrupted deep work, 30 minutes for exercise, 20 minutes for reflection, and so on. The mind, when conditioned with repetition, begins to anticipate and perform without constant negotiation. The friction of deciding what to do next disappears. Time becomes a servant to purpose, not a threat demanding attention and sparking procrastination. Consistency thrives on predictability. Waking, eating, working, and resting at roughly the same hours daily builds a physiological and psychological rhythm that powers focus. Hormonal and neurological patterns align with predictable schedules, improving alertness and cognitive performance. This is not about rigidity, it is about creating a stable platform from which productivity can launch. Unplanned deviations should be rare and deliberate. The stability of routine creates a mental environment where procrastination has nowhere to hide. Predictability builds trust in yourself and your capacity to follow through. Intentional sequencing is essential. Not all actions carry the same weight at all times. Place demanding cognitive tasks during periods of peak energy. Schedule reflective or restorative activities when mental fatigue naturally appears. Group similar activities to reduce transition friction. For example, batch all emails together or consolidate minor administrative work into one block. Sequencing ensures that your energy aligns with the demands of the tasks and that effort is not wasted fighting against natural rhythms. This alignment is a shield against distraction and delay. Anchor routines with rituals that activate focus. The smallest preparatory actions, making the bed, setting the workspace, or a brief breathing exercise, signal the start of meaningful work. These cues condition the mind to recognize that the time for deliberate action has arrived. Over time, the ritual itself becomes motivation, reducing the need for external drivers. By using rituals as consistent entry points, routines gain psychological weight. The mind no longer debates action, it recognizes the structured pattern as normal behavior. Accountability enhances routine adherence. Share commitments with someone you trust, or keep a detailed log of activities. The knowledge that progress is observed externally or recorded internally creates subtle pressure to maintain consistency. Even a simple journal noting completed tasks reinforces a sense of accomplishment and responsibility. Accountability transforms isolated actions into a chain of connected efforts, giving daily activities a larger significance. You are no longer acting in a vacuum. You are producing outcomes within a framework that respects both time and purpose. Incorporate variety strategically, while consistency is critical. Repetition without attention can lead to stagnation or mental fatigue. Rotate tasks where feasible, adjust the intensity of physical or mental effort, and refresh methods periodically. The goal is sustained engagement, not monotonous endurance. Controlled variation preserves interest and prevents the mind from slipping into autopilot that allows procrastination to creep in. Every day should feel purposeful, challenging, and achievable simultaneously. Reflection and adjustment are integral. At the end of each day or week, review what worked, what felt forced, and where energy drained. Identify the patterns that support consistent action and those that undermine it. Adjust schedules, durations, and sequences based on these insights. Reflection converts passive repetition into active learning. Every adjustment strengthens the routine, makes action smoother, and increases the likelihood of long-term adherence. This is the iterative process that converts ordinary consistency into extraordinary results. Reward and recognition cement habits. Celebrate the completion of blocks of action, no matter how small. Recognize effort, discipline, and fidelity to routine, as indicators of personal integrity. Small rewards trigger neurochemical feedback that strengthens habit loops, making adherence to the routine self-reinforcing. The process of recognizing achievement is not indulgence. It is an essential mechanism that sustains engagement over months and years. Over time, the reward shifts from external acknowledgement to internal satisfaction derived from mastery and progress. Discipline grows from repeated, deliberate action. Daily routines are the framework in which discipline becomes automatic. Motivation fluctuates, but routines remain. By embedding effort into structured daily practices, action occurs even when inspiration is absent. The habit of following a routine diminishes the mental debate over whether to start, making procrastination increasingly irrelevant. Discipline is cultivated quietly in the consistent choices made day after day. Energy management is a companion to routine. Recognize natural peaks and troughs of alertness and align tasks accordingly. Sleep, nutrition, movement, and recovery are components of the daily structure, not optional extras. A well-rested and nourished mind and body act more decisively. Energy mismanagement undermines consistency, creating gaps that procrastination can exploit. A disciplined routine safeguards both work output and mental and mental vitality, forming a holistic system that resists delay. Focus on the compound effect. Every repeated action within a structured routine contributes incrementally to growth. Daily small wins accumulate into significant transformation. 1 hour of focused work daily, 1 minute of meditation, or 1 extra set of exercise does not feel monumental in isolation, but compounds into measurable achievement over weeks and months. Recognizing the power of compounding reinforces commitment to routine and reduces the temptation to skip a single day, knowing each moment is an investment in long-term success. Ultimately, building consistent daily routines is a declaration of intentional living. Each morning structured with purpose, each evening reflecting on actions taken, each deliberate sequence of effort contributes to mastery over time. Procrastination fades not through rare moments of inspiration, but through the relentless, predictable application of consistent practices. Life does not wait, but a disciplined routine creates leverage over time, allowing progress to accumulate in ways that spontaneous effort never can. Consistency transforms ordinary days into extraordinary results. Every day is an opportunity, and the structure of routine is the engine that ensures every opportunity is seized and maximized. By establishing routines that are purposeful, strategic, and adaptive, every individual takes control of time, energy, and attention. A life built on consistent daily practices is resilient to distraction, impervious to hesitation, and capable of achieving results that mere intent cannot accomplish. Discipline becomes second nature. Progress becomes visible, and procrastination becomes a distant memory replaced by the quiet momentum of action. The daily Zurich is not a cage. It is the pathway to freedom through mastery of self. Chapter 3. Focus intensely on one task until completion daily. Concentration is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. Most people scatter their energy across multiple tasks, bouncing from one to another without ever finishing anything. This creates the illusion of productivity, while producing little real result. To truly move forward, focus must be trained, sharpened, and applied with unwavering commitment to a single task until it reaches completion. The skill of deep focus is not innate. It is cultivated deliberately and maintained consistently. The difference between mediocrity and excellence often lies in the ability to sustain attention on one meaningful action while ignoring everything else until it is done. Begin by selecting the task that will have the highest impact. Not every task deserves the same intensity of effort. Determine which activity will move you closer to your goals in a substantial way. Once identified, commit to it fully. Treat this task as a singular mission for a defined block of time. Eliminate any competing priorities during this period. Make a contract with yourself. No multitasking, no interruptions, and no deviation. This is a practice in discipline, clarity, and presence of mind. Create a workspace that supports uninterrupted concentration. Remove distractions entirely. Phones should be silenced and placed out of sight. Notifications must be disabled. The environment should be clear, organized, and prepared with all necessary materials before starting. Even small sources of friction can break the fragile thread of focus. A tidy, intentional space signals to the brain that this is a time for serious work. Sensory cues, like a particular chair, a clean desk, or a specific playlist, can condition the mind to enter a state of heightened attention automatically. Use time blocking as a weapon against distraction. Assign a set period to work on the task without deviation. Begin with manageable intervals such as 30 or 45 minutes, gradually extending as focus improves. During this period, immerse fully in the task. Avoid thinking about other responsibilities, messages, or minor errands. The clock is your ally. The structure of time encourages discipline, and the end of the block becomes a natural checkpoint to reassess progress. By confining work to focused blocks, the brain learns that effort is intentional, measurable, and controlled. Anchor attention with micro-objectives. Large tasks can feel overwhelming and scatter mental energy. Break the work into small, clearly defined steps that can be completed sequentially. Each step becomes a milestone that maintains momentum and provides tangible feedback. Completing a small action produces a sense of progress that fuels persistence. Micro-objectives reduce the intimidation factor of complexity and allow focus to remain sharp. The mind thrives on completion. Each small win is a chemical reinforcement that propels the next action. Guard the mind vigilantly against internal distractions. Thoughts about unrelated tasks, worries, or doubts often appear. Acknowledge these thoughts without judgment, and then return attention immediately to the task. Use a single phrase or mental anchor, such as continue or one step more, to redirect focus. Treat mental intrusions as passing clouds. The mind must be trained to observe without deviation. Over time, attention becomes less prone to wandering, and the ability to maintain concentration strengthens exponentially. Incorporate physical cues to enhance mental focus. Posture, breathing, and minor physical movements influence cognitive performance. Sit upright, breathe deeply and evenly, and allow tension in the body to settle. Brief stretching before starting primes the nervous system for alertness. Hydration and light nutrition also support sustained attention. The body and mind are inseparable. Maintaining physical readiness supports uninterrupted focus and keeps fatigue from undermining concentration. Eliminate the habit of task switching entirely during deep work. Multitasking is an illusion that reduces efficiency. Every switch incurs a cognitive cost and diminishes retention and performance. Commit to one task with the understanding that all other duties will be addressed sequentially after completion. Prioritization ensures that the most important work is finished first. A clear order of action removes mental clutter and frees the brain to devote total energy to what matters most. Leverage the concept of flow. Flow occurs when skill level matches challenge and the mind is fully absorbed in the present action. To reach this state, remove interruptions, set clear goals, and engage in work that requires full mental involvement. Flow produces heightened clarity, efficiency, and creativity. The deeper the engagement, the more rewarding the process becomes. Each completed task reinforces the ability to enter flow more easily in the future, creating a positive cycle of mastery and performance. Track progress. visibly. Keep a record of completed tasks, milestones reached, and time spent in deep focus. A visual representation of achievement reinforces motivation and maintains commitment. When completion is tangible, procrastination loses its grip. The sense of accomplishment generated by seeing progress encourages repeated engagement with the same level of intensity. Tracking also allows reflection on patterns, improvement areas, and the moments of highest productivity. Build a post-task ritual to consolidate achievement. Upon finishing a task, pause and acknowledge completion. Take a brief walk, perform a mental review, or note lessons learned. Ritualizing closure creates a psychological reset, separating the intense focus period from the next activity. This reinforces the habit of finishing without dragging attention across tasks indefinitely. Recognizing the value of completing a task encourages the repetition of this behavior and reinforces a personal identity rooted in execution. Use accountability to solidify focus habits. Share your plan and the intended task with someone who will check in. Social visibility enhances commitment and reduces the temptation to divert attention. Even a private log that is revisited daily serves the same purpose by creating external-like pressure. Accountability does not control action. It amplifies the natural drive to honor commitments and strengthens the mental association between task initiation and completion. Practice self-compassion to maintain focus momentum. Distraction is inevitable. Rather than succumbing to guilt, recognize the lapse, adjust, and return immediately to the task. The critical element is the recovery of attention, not the perfection of uninterrupted work. Each redirection of focus reinforces mental control. Over time, the ability to sustain attention increases and lapses diminish. Discipline grows, not from perfection, but from the repeated practice of returning to the task, regardless of interruption. Train the mind for sequential completion. Each task should receive full attention until it is finished. Leaving work incomplete invites mental clutter, anxiety, and avoidance. The brain craves closure. By committing to finish what is started, cognitive energy is preserved and confidence grows. This habit reduces the tendency to procrastinate on future tasks, because the mind trusts itself to carry projects to conclusion. Completion builds momentum and transforms scattered energy into sustained achievement. Finally, recognize that intensity compounded daily produces mastery. Focusing on one task until completion is not a one-time effort, but a disciplined practice repeated every day. The benefits accumulate, forming habits, building skill, and shaping identity. Over time, complex projects become manageable, mental resilience strengthens, and the ability to resist procrastination becomes second nature. Excellence emerges from the patient application of concentrated effort, repeated until sustained success is inevitable. Developing the capacity to focus intensely on a single task requires preparation, environment control, micro-objectives, physical readiness, accountability, and self-compassion. The reward is not only completion, but the mental clarity, energy efficiency, and sense of accomplishment that come with it. Daily practice of focused effort transforms work from fragmented attempts into deliberate mastery. Each day, each completed task, and each uninterrupted hour reinforce a life built on action, presence, and tangible results. Concentration is the engine of progress, and completion is the measure of effectiveness. Once the practice of focused attention becomes habitual, the mind automatically resists distraction, tasks are completed efficiently, and momentum builds naturally. The ability to focus intensely on task until completion is not merely a strategy for productivity, it is a philosophy of action that eliminates hesitation, cultivates discipline, and elevates every day into a sequence of meaningful achievement. Master this skill, and procrastination loses relevance as progress becomes an unstoppable and measurable reality. Chapter 4. Eliminate time-wasting habits to reclaim your productive energy. Every day, countless hours are lost, not to lack of effort, but to habits that quietly consume attention, energy, and momentum. These habits are subtle yet relentless, disguised as small comforts, minor distractions, or false urgencies. Social media scrolling, excessive notifications, mindless web browsing, checking emails constantly, or allowing minor interruptions to dictate focus may seem harmless, but they steadily drain the mental and physical energy needed for meaningful work. Productivity is not about doing more tasks, it is about doing the right tasks with undivided attention. Eliminating time-wasting habits is not a suggestion, it is the foundation for reclaiming energy and achieving lasting results. Every productive moment stolen by an avoidable distraction is energy that could have been invested in growth, learning, or progress. The first step is awareness. Observe how time is actually spent. Track daily activities for several days without altering behavior. Note the periods when attention drifts, when small interruptions snowball into hours lost, and when actions fail to align with goals. Quantifying wasted time exposes patterns that remain invisible under the surface of busyness. Honest observation provides a mirror of reality. Once these habits are visible, they can be assessed, challenged, and replaced with intentional action. Eliminate unnecessary inputs that fragment attention. Phones, notifications, and digital interruptions dominate modern life. Silence alerts, close unused tabs, and remove applications that do not contribute to objectives. Treat attention as a limited resource, one that must be protected vigilantly. Every ping, flash, or sound pulls focus from the tasks that matter most. By systematically removing these interruptions, mental energy once siphoned by distractions becomes available for concentrated effort. The clarity and sustained attention gained are immediate and profound. Examine routines for habitual procrastination triggers. Many daily rituals inadvertently foster delay. Morning social media checks, lingering on trivial chores, or repeated breaks that lack purpose create a cycle of avoidance. Replace these rituals with actions that align directly with goals. For instance, spend the first 30 minutes of the morning on high-priority work rather than scrolling feeds. Small adjustments in timing and sequence eliminate habitual drains on energy, allowing the day to start with momentum instead of friction. Set strict boundaries for reactive tasks. Not every message, request, or notification demands immediate attention. Decide in advance what merits interruption and what can wait. Create windows of time to respond to communications while reserving blocks for deep work. Reactive behavior is one of the largest energy drains in daily life, turning individuals into responders instead of creators. By boiling these boundaries, productivity becomes a deliberate choice rather than a reaction to circumstance. Replace low-value activities with high-impact alternatives. The time saved from eliminating distractions is not an empty surplus. It should be redirected toward meaningful engagement. Instead of browsing aimlessly, use the energy to read, plan, exercise, or complete a critical project. The mind naturally seeks stimulation, so replace shallow engagement with constructive challenges. Energy redirected consciously compounds over time, producing results that passive activity never achieves. Examine the environment for hidden energy drains. Cluttered spaces, unnecessary noise, or scattered materials all contribute to inefficiency. Organize the workspace to support focus. Keep tools, documents, and devices ready and orderly. Remove objects that tempt diversion. A streamlined environment reduces friction and allows the mind to operate in a single channel of attention. Physical order reflects mental order and reinforces the elimination of wasted energy. Adopt intentional decision-making practices. Decision fatigue is a hidden thief of energy. Every minor choice consumes mental bandwidth, leaving less available for important tasks. Reduce trivial decisions by creating systems, predetermined outfits, fixed meal plans, and standard workflows. Automate repetitive choices to preserve energy for deliberate and impactful actions. When decisions are systematized, the mind can allocate effort toward meaningful priorities rather than constant low-stakes deliberation. Implement time audits to monitor improvement. Periodically review how energy is spent and identify recurring losses. Track how many hours were consumed by distractions, non-essential tasks, or fragmented attention. Use this data to adjust routines, eliminate remaining drains, and reinforce productive habits. The iterative process ensures continuous refinement. Awareness without action leads to repetition. Measurement followed by correction cultivates lasting discipline. Train the mind to resist compulsive impulses. Every urge to check a phone, scroll a feed, or respond to non-critical tasks must be acknowledged and then set aside intentionally. Each act of restraint strengthens self-regulation, increases willpower, and conserves energy for work that matters. Like a muscle, the capacity for controlled attention grows through repeated practice. Over time, resisting trivial diversions becomes automatic, creating uninterrupted blocks of high-value effort. Introduce micro-breaks deliberately. Productivity is not about constant exertion, it is about sustained energy applied wisely. Schedule short restorative pauses to refresh the mind. Use breaks to walk, stretch, or hydrate rather than engage in shallow distractions. Controlled breaks maintain focus while preventing fatigue, ensuring that energy is consistently available for meaningful tasks. Breaks taken mindlessly can drain more than they restore, so structure is essential. Set concrete goals for each work session. Ambiguity invites wandering attention. Know in advance what outcome is expected, whether completing a section of a project, drafting a specific document, or learning a defined skill. Clarity aligns energy with action and prevents aimless effort. The sharper the goal, the more efficiently energy is directed, and the less it dissipates into irrelevant or unproductive activity. Use accountability systems to reinforce discipline. Share intended work and progress with someone who will monitor results. Social visibility increases commitment and reduces the temptation to waste time. The combination of accountability and self-monitoring accelerates the reduction of energy drains and strengthens the habit of intentional productivity. Each check-in reinforces the behavior, turning conscious effort into consistent practice. Replace energy-draining habits with rituals that stimulate performance. Begin tasks with a physical or mental cue, such as a short breathing exercise, a clean workspace, or a checklist review. These rituals activate focus, signal the mind that action is expected, and provide a structured starting point. Rituals prevent hesitation, reduce cognitive load, and channel energy efficiently into the task at hand. Recognize the hidden psychological costs of habitual delay. Procrastination and time wasting produce stress, anxiety, and a sense of unfinished business that continuously saps energy. Eliminating these habits reduces mental clutter and creates a clear, calm mind capable of sustained effort. Energy reclaimed from avoidance is not merely time saved. It is a return of mental clarity, confidence, and emotional stability. Develop a self-reinforcing reward system. Acknowledge and celebrate progress achieved through intentional focus. Positive reinforcement strengthens motivation and solidifies the replacement of time-wasting behaviors. The brain responds to accomplishment and recognition, which in turn makes adherence to productive habits easier and more natural over time. Rewards should be immediate, proportionate, and meaningful to sustain momentum. Practice reflection to detect subtle drains that remain unnoticed. At the end of each day, consider which moments of energy depletion could have been avoided and which distractions were particularly compelling. Understanding the triggers allows further refinement of routines, environment, and habits. Daily reflection transforms experience into actionable knowledge and ensures continual improvement. Finally, understand that the elimination of time-wasting habits is not a temporary fix, but a lifelong discipline. Each habit removed liberates attention, energy, and creativity. With energy reclaimed, focus intensifies, productivity accelerates, and meaningful results multiply. The mind freed from distraction operates at peak efficiency, allowing for deeper engagement with challenges that truly matter. Mastery of this principle transforms the ordinary into extraordinary, converting potential energy into tangible achievement daily. By rigorously identifying, eliminating, and replacing time-wasting habits with intentional practices, every hour becomes more valuable, every effort more impactful, and every day more meaningful. Productive energy is no longer fragmented or stolen, it is harnessed to accomplish what truly defines progress. Over time, the conscious choice to remove distractions solidifies into automatic discipline, producing a life characterized by purposeful action, tangible results, and unstoppable momentum. The act of reclaiming energy is the act of reclaiming control over life itself. Chapter 5. Set clear priorities to guide every decision effectively. Every day presents countless choices. Some are trivial, others are critical. The difference between a life of constant busyness and a life of meaningful achievement lies in the ability to distinguish between what truly matters and what simply demands attention. Setting clear priorities is not a luxury, it is the cornerstone of effective action. Without clarity about what is important, energy is scattered, focus is diluted, and progress stalls. Decisions become reactive rather than intentional, leaving individuals trapped in cycles of endless activity without real results. Priorities act as a filter that guides every action, ensuring that effort is directed toward the outcomes that have the most significant impact. Begin by defining the outcomes that matter most. Identify the long-term goals that shape your life's direction. This could be professional mastery, personal growth, financial independence, or physical well-being. Clarity about the end goal provides a framework for daily decisions. Every choice, every action, and every commitment should be measured against these priorities. Ask, will this move me closer to my goals or pull me away? This question, asked consistently, transforms ordinary decision-making into a deliberate strategy. Segment tasks based on importance and urgency. Not all tasks deserve equal attention. Use a mental or physical system to categorize activities. Focus first on what is both important and urgent, then important but less urgent tasks. Trivial matters should be minimized, delegated, or eliminated. Recognizing the relative value of each action prevents energy from being wasted on activities that feel busy but deliver minimal impact. Over time, this practice trains the mind to weigh every decision with the same metric of significance. Establish daily non-negotiables aligned with your priorities. Each day should include actions that directly support your core objectives. These are commitments that are not optional, not subject to mood or external pressures. They are the anchors of progress. Completing them consistently builds momentum, confidence, and results. Non-negotiables transform abstract goals into concrete daily steps and remove ambiguity about where to focus energy. Use a clear decision-making framework to guide choices. When faced with options, evaluate them against your defined priorities. If an action does not advance a high-value goal, it should be postponed, delegated, or eliminated. This approach reduces indecision and prevents the mental drain caused by attempting to do everything at once. Decisions made within a framework of priorities reduce stress, sharpen focus, and increase the likelihood of producing meaningful outcomes. Break larger objectives into actionable components. Big goals can feel distant and overwhelming, leading to delay or avoidance. By dividing them into specific actionable steps, clarity emerges and execution becomes feasible. Each step completed builds confidence and reinforces the alignment between effort and meaningful outcomes. Prioritizing these steps ensures that daily actions are consistently moving toward significant results. Regularly review priorities to adapt to changing circumstances. Life is dynamic, and new information or challenges can alter what is most important. Periodic reassessment ensures that energy continues to flow toward the highest value activities. This habit prevents wasted effort on outdated objectives and reinforces the discipline of intentional living. Consistent evaluation creates an adaptive system where priorities remain relevant and actionable, maximizing effectiveness over time. Eliminate low-value commitments that drain time and energy. Many people accept responsibilities out of habit, social expectation, or fear of saying no. These obligations often conflict with core goals, reducing focus and creating unnecessary stress. Learning to decline or delegate tasks that do not align with priorities is essential. Each refusal creates more room for high-impact work and reinforces the principle that attention is the most valuable resource. Anchor priorities with visible reminders. A written list, a digital tracker, or a visual cue can reinforce focus on what truly matters. By externalizing priorities, they remain present in the mind, reducing the likelihood of being swept into low-value activities. Daily reference to these markers ensures decisions are continually filtered through the lens of importance. This practice strengthens commitment, builds consistency, and minimizes wasted effort. Practice the discipline of sequential focus. Concentrate on completing one high-priority task before moving to the next. Avoid multitasking, which splits attention and diminishes effectiveness. Completing one action fully before beginning another ensures that energy is applied efficiently and that each decision directly contributes to progress. Sequential focus aligns effort with significance, magnifying the impact of every hour spent on meaningful work. Leverage the power of time blocks. Allocate specific periods for tasks that serve core objectives. Treat these periods as inviolable appointments with yourself. Time blocking ensures that high-priority actions receive dedicated attention, and it minimizes the chance that reactive or low-value tasks will encroach. By protecting these blocks, energy remains concentrated and purposeful. Incorporate reflection into the routine of decision-making. At the end of each day, review which choices aligned with priorities and which did not. Identify patterns of distraction, unnecessary commitment, or misallocation of energy. Use this insight to refine both the understanding of priorities and the strategies used to uphold them. Reflection transforms experience into practical knowledge and strengthens the ability to guide future decisions effectively. Cultivate a mindset that values results over busyness. Activity alone does not equal achievement. By constantly asking whether a task contributes meaningfully to desired outcomes, the mind becomes attuned to effectiveness. Decisions made through this lens automatically favor high-value action and reduce susceptibility to procrastination. Energy is directed toward what produces tangible benefits, and every choice reinforces the habit of prioritization. Use accountability to maintain focus on priorities. Share your key objectives and daily actions with someone who can monitor progress. External observation increases commitment and reduces the likelihood of succumbing to trivial distractions. Accountability transforms intentions into observable actions, creating a feedback loop that reinforces adherence to priorities and magnifies productivity. Treat priorities as a compass rather than a rigid schedule. Flexibility allows adaptation while still keeping the focus on what matters most. Emergencies or unexpected opportunities may arise, but decisions should always be measured against core goals. This approach balances structure with responsiveness, ensuring that every action maintains alignment with purpose. Anchor emotional energy to priorities. Tasks that resonate with deeper goals generate intrinsic motivation, which fuels sustained effort. By emphasizing actions that carry personal significance, decisions are guided not just by obligation, but by alignment with identity and values. Emotional engagement enhances consistency, accelerates performance, and reduces the appeal of distractions that offer fleeting gratification. Develop rituals to reinforce priority-driven action. Begin each work session with a brief review of the most important task. Visualize completion and take the first deliberate step immediately. Rituals create mental cues that strengthen the focus on high-value activities, reduce hesitation, and embed the practice of aligning action with priorities into daily habit. Recognize the cost of indecision. Every moment spent wavering between tasks or engaging in low-value activity is a drain on energy and productivity. By committing to clear priorities, the mind eliminates internal debate, conserves energy, and accelerates results. Action guided by importance replaces hesitation with clarity, allowing consistent progress even under pressure. Practice single-task mastery. Give each prioritized activity full attention until it is complete. This approach maximizes efficiency, ensures quality, and reinforces the habit of aligning effort with significance. Repetition of this principle strengthens mental resilience, reinforces discipline, and embeds a sense of accomplishment that propels future decisions. Finally, understand that priorities define the architecture of achievement. Clear priorities shape daily choices, focus energy, and determine the trajectory of life. By consistently filtering every decision through this lens, procrastination is minimized, distractions are neutralized, and action becomes deliberate and impactful. Every day becomes an opportunity to advance toward what truly matters. Mastering the art of setting and following priorities transforms effort into measurable progress, intention into results, and ordinary routines into a life of purpose, discipline, and achievement. Chapter 6. Develop self-discipline to push through resistance automatically. Resistance is a natural part of growth. Every meaningful action triggers an internal battle between comfort and effort, ease and progress. The difference between those who achieve and those who merely wish lies in the capacity to act despite this resistance. Self-discipline is not a fleeting trait or a momentary surge of willpower. It is a cultivated ability to persist through discomfort, uncertainty, and distraction until the task is done. Developing self-discipline transforms resistance from a barrier into a signal, guiding focus, energy, and action toward what matters most. Begin by recognizing resistance for what it is. It is not a personal failure or a sign of weakness. It is a natural indicator that growth is occurring. Every time the mind protests, delays, or seeks an easier path, it is marking a boundary where potential lies. Resistance identifies the areas where commitment must be strongest. When faced with hesitation, pause only to assess the source of discomfort, then proceed deliberately. Understanding resistance allows it to be managed rather than feared or avoided. Set specific, non-negotiable commitments. Discipline is reinforced when boundaries are defined clearly. A vague intention is easily ignored. A concrete decision backed by structure and timing creates pressure that the mind respects. Commit to precise actions, deadlines, and outcomes, and hold yourself accountable to these commitments without exception. Small daily victories over resistance build momentum and strengthen the mental habit of following through. Start with manageable challenges. Self-discipline grows through repeated, deliberate practice. Begin with tasks that require moderate effort, but are achievable consistently. Completing these tasks reinforces the mental pattern of persistence, turning discipline into an automatic response over time. Gradually increase the level of challenge as resilience strengthens. This incremental approach prevents burnout, reinforces confidence, and embeds the habit of acting in spite of discomfort. Use environmental design to reduce friction. Arrange surroundings to make focused action easier and distractions more difficult. Place necessary tools, resources, and workspaces in accessible positions. Remove temptations or triggers that encourage avoidance. By controlling external factors, self-discipline is supported by structure, making resistance easier to overcome naturally. The environment can either sap energy or reinforce persistence depending on how intentionally it is arranged. Break tasks into smaller, actionable steps. Large or ambiguous objectives create paralysis and amplify resistance. By dividing work into defined, sequential actions, the mind experiences less intimidation and effort becomes more manageable. Completion of small components provides immediate feedback, reinforcing the habit of persistence. The momentum gained from micro-completions naturally drives progress, making sustained effort less daunting. Create a routine of immediate action. When resistance appears, respond quickly rather than waiting for motivation to arrive. Motivation is unreliable and fleeting, but discipline relies on action regardless of feeling. Initiating action creates a feedback loop where progress fuels further engagement and hesitation diminishes over time. Acting first and adjusting later prevents procrastination from gaining a foothold and conditions the mind to respond consistently to internal resistance. Monitor energy and mental states carefully. Self-discipline is strengthened by understanding natural patterns of alertness, focus, and fatigue. Schedule demanding tasks during periods of peak mental energy. Recognize signs of mental depletion and incorporate structured recovery, exercise, or reflection to restore capacity. Managing internal resources ensures that resistance is met from a position of strength rather than exhaustion, reducing the likelihood of surrendering to avoidance. Implement accountability systems. Sharing goals, deadlines, or progress with a trusted individual creates external reinforcement for internal discipline. The knowledge that others are observing performance increases the likelihood of pushing through resistance. Accountability amplifies commitment, reduces rationalizations, and transforms intention into measurable, observable action. It establishes a feedback mechanism that encourages repeated adherence to disciplined behavior. Anchor discipline with rituals. Ritualized preparation for work, study, or effort creates a psychological cue that signals the start of focused action. Small, consistent habits such as arranging the workspace, performing a brief mental checklist, or setting a timer condition the mind to recognize the need for sustained effort. Rituals reduce hesitation, minimize mental friction, and reinforce the automaticity of disciplined action over time. Embrace the discomfort of delay and distraction as temporary obstacles. Every attempt to avoid effort is an opportunity to practice persistence. Self-discipline grows strongest when action is taken despite resistance, not in the absence of it. By reframing discomfort as a signal rather than a barrier, hesitation becomes irrelevant, and continued effort strengthens character and capability. Reflect on completed challenges to reinforce patterns of persistence. Each instance of acting in spite of resistance strengthens mental conditioning, increases confidence, and creates internal evidence of capability. Reviewing achievements highlights the ability to overcome hesitation repeatedly, reinforcing the automatic response to act even when difficulty arises. Reflection transforms effort into learning and embeds resilience into the daily mindset. Use time limits to enforce urgency. Deadlines create a natural structure to combat avoidance. When a task is given a finite window for completion, the mind is compelled to engage actively, reducing the tendency to delay. Pair deadlines with incremental checkpoints to maintain steady progress. The pressure of temporal boundaries strengthens the habit of acting immediately, reinforcing self-discipline as a default response to resistance. Develop internal cues for action. Identify consistent physical or mental signals that prompt engagement despite reluctance. A particular posture, breathing pattern, or verbal prompt can trigger a conditioned response that initiates work automatically. These cues reduce mental negotiation, create predictable patterns of behavior, and transform the initial resistance into a brief, manageable hurdle rather than a prolonged obstacle. Focus on one task at a time to conserve willpower. Multitasking divides mental energy and amplifies resistance by presenting competing challenges. Single tasking ensures full allocation of attention and reduces the mental fatigue associated with decision-making. Each completed task strengthens the neural pathways associated with persistence, making resistance increasingly manageable with every successive effort. Replace avoidance with structured alternatives. When tempted to delay, immediately substitute the urge with a predefined productive action. This transforms procrastination into deliberate progress. The mind adapts over time, learning that resistance triggers immediate engagement rather than retreat. Habitual substitution strengthens self-discipline by replacing old patterns of delay with consistent forward movement. Recognize the incremental nature of mastery. Self-discipline is not built in a single day, but in repeated victories over resistance. Each moment of perseverance compounds, reinforcing the neural and psychological frameworks that make future action automatic. Consistency is more impactful than sporadic heroics. Small, repeated acts of discipline form the foundation for sustained achievement. Visualize the benefits of sustained effort. Keeping the desired outcome in mind strengthens motivation and reinforces the value of acting despite resistance. Visualization creates a mental image of cause, reward, or progress that guides behavior and reduces the influence of short-term discomfort. The mind naturally aligns action with the anticipated benefits, making resistance easier to overcome. Integrate reflection and planning at the end of each day. Review moments when resistance was met successfully and instances where it was not. Adjust strategies, refine rituals, and strengthen accountability systems based on these insights. Continuous evaluation enhances the automaticity of self-discipline, ensuring that each subsequent encounter with resistance is approached with greater efficiency and confidence. Finally, understand that self-discipline is the muscle that converts intention into reality. Resistance is unavoidable, but mastery over it determines the trajectory of every goal, every project, and every day. By consistently applying deliberate practice, environmental design, accountability, reflection, and rituals, resistance ceases to control action. The ability to push through obstacles automatically becomes an ingrained characteristic, transforming potential energy into measurable progress. Daily reinforcement ensures that challenges no longer dictate behavior, and persistence becomes the natural response, creating momentum, achievement, and personal power beyond the influence of fleeting motivation or comfort. Chapter 7. Break overwhelming tasks into manageable daily steps, consistently. Large goals can be intimidating. When faced with a massive project or a complex objective, the mind often responds with hesitation, procrastination, or avoidance. The scale of the task alone can feel paralyzing, making action seem impossible. The solution is not to wish the task were smaller or to wait for motivation to appear. The solution is to break the task into manageable daily steps, creating a clear path forward that transforms overwhelm into progress. Consistently applying this principle turns daunting challenges into achievable sequences, making momentum inevitable and procrastination irrelevant. Begin by clarifying the ultimate outcome. What does completion look like? What specific result signals that the task is finished? Defining the end goal in concrete terms provides a destination toward which daily steps can be directed. Without clarity about the final outcome, steps can become unfocused, scattered, or redundant, reducing efficiency and increasing frustration. A defined objective creates a framework for planning, accountability, and consistent execution. Next, divide the project into logical, sequential components, identifying natural phases or sections within the overall task. Each component should be small enough to complete within a defined period while still contributing meaningfully to progress. These divisions reduce psychological barriers, transform abstract concepts into actionable work, and prevent the mind from being overwhelmed by the sheer size of the project. Assign realistic daily actions. Once the components are identified, determine what can be accomplished each day without creating burnout. Daily steps should be specific, measurable, and achievable, providing a sense of accomplishment that fuels momentum. Completing these incremental tasks reinforces the habit of action, instills confidence, and creates a tangible sense of movement toward the ultimate goal. Use time blocking to structure effort. Allocate dedicated periods each day to work on a single step without interruption. Committing to a defined window of focus ensures that attention is concentrated and that progress accumulates consistently. Time blocking transforms intention into action and prevents the trap of sporadic, scattered efforts that prolong completion and increase stress. Track progress visually to reinforce consistency. A chart, checklist, or journal that records completed steps creates a psychological reinforcement loop. Each marked step provides immediate feedback, reduces the perception of remaining work, and encourages continued effort. Visual tracking makes progress concrete, maintaining motivation even when the overall project still feels large or distant. Anticipate obstacles and plan contingencies. Even manageable steps can encounter unexpected challenges. Consider potential difficulties in advance and outline alternative approaches. This proactive mindset reduces resistance, prevents discouragement, and allows daily actions to continue without significant disruption. Preparedness transforms obstacles from barriers into opportunities for adaptation and learning. Prioritize steps based on impact. Not all components of a task contribute equally to progress. Identify which daily actions will produce the most significant forward movement and address them first. Completing high-impact steps early generates momentum and reinforces the value of consistent, focused action. This approach ensures that energy is allocated efficiently and that results compound over time. Incorporate review and adjustment into the routine. At the end of each day, assess what was accomplished, what obstacles arose, and whether the daily steps were realistic. Adjust subsequent actions accordingly to maintain steady, achievable progress. Reflection ensures that the daily process remains aligned with the ultimate goal, reduces wasted effort, and strengthens the habit of intentional execution. Use micro-deadlines to create urgency. Assign specific timeframes for each daily step, not just the overall project. Short-term deadlines convert abstract effort into immediate action and reduce the temptation to delay. The pressure of incremental timelines creates accountability, ensures consistent effort, and develops the habit of addressing work systematically rather than reactively. Break mental barriers by celebrating small victories. Each completed step, no matter how minor it seems in isolation, is progress. Acknowledging these accomplishments reinforces motivation, strengthens confidence, and maintains the drive to continue. Celebrating small wins is not indulgent. It is a strategic practice that ensures persistent engagement and gradual mastery over the larger task. Simplify steps to avoid unnecessary complexity. Overthinking and overplanning can stall action. Focus on the simplest effective action for each component, reducing cognitive load and preventing procrastination. Clear, direct steps are easier to complete, less intimidating, and naturally build momentum. Complexity can be layered only after basic progress is established. Integrate focus rituals to strengthen consistency. Begin each daily work session with a short ritual that signals the mind it is time for dedicated effort. This could include organizing materials, reviewing the next step, or setting a timer. Rituals condition the brain to transition smoothly from distraction to action, reducing the friction that often delays the initiation of tasks. Delegate or automate non-essential tasks. Some components may not require personal attention and can be outsourced or automated. Freeing mental and physical resources ensures that the most critical steps receive priority. Delegation preserves energy for high-value work and reinforces consistent progress by reducing unnecessary burdens that contribute to overwhelm. Anchor motivation by connecting daily steps to long-term benefits. Remind yourself why each small action matters in the context of the larger goal. Visualize the impact of completion and the satisfaction of progress. Connecting immediate effort to meaningful outcomes strengthens commitment, increases persistence, and diminishes the appeal of avoidance or distraction. Maintain flexibility while preserving consistency. Life may introduce unexpected demands, but the principle of daily incremental action should remain intact. Adapt the steps to fit current circumstances without abandoning the habit of consistent progress. Flexibility ensures that momentum is maintained even in dynamic environments, preventing setbacks from evolving into stagnation. Incorporate accountability into the process. Sharing daily objectives or completed steps with a partner, mentor, or team creates external reinforcement for consistent action. Accountability encourages adherence to the plan, reduces rationalizations, and strengthens the discipline needed to follow through on manageable daily steps. Use reflection to identify efficiency improvements. Periodically review the process to discover opportunities for faster, smoother, or more effective completion of steps. Optimizing daily actions ensures that momentum is preserved, reduces unnecessary effort, and reinforces the habit of intentional high-quality progress. Train the mind to value incremental effort. Consistently acting in small steps demonstrates that progress is not dependent on massive bursts of energy or last-minute effort. Incremental work accumulates into significant results, builds confidence, and reduces anxiety associated with large tasks. Developing patience and persistence through daily action fosters resilience and long-term success. Finally, understand that consistent daily steps are the antidote to overwhelm. Large tasks become manageable, resistance diminishes, and progress becomes inevitable. By breaking objectives into measurable, achievable actions and committing to completing them systematically, procrastination loses power. Daily execution transforms ambitious goals from intimidating abstractions into tangible realities. Mastery of this principle turns the impossible into achievable sequences, the overwhelming into manageable progress, and intention into sustained accomplishment. The discipline of incremental work strengthens not just efficiency but mindset, resilience, and self-confidence. Each completed step reinforces the belief in personal capability and the habit of action. Over time, the accumulation of small, deliberate efforts produces remarkable results. Mastering the habit of breaking overwhelming tasks into daily steps converts stress into clarity, hesitation into momentum, and potential into measurable achievement. Consistency, simplicity, and deliberate execution are the keys to converting even the largest challenge into a series of victories, one step at a time. Chapter 8. Use deadlines to enforce commitment and follow through regularly. Deadlines are more than dates on a calendar. They are tools that convert intention into action. Every goal, project, or task carries the risk of delay if left without a specific endpoint. The human mind naturally drifts toward comfort, avoidance, and procrastination when actions lack urgency. Deadlines create pressure, structure, and accountability, compelling consistent progress. Using deadlines effectively enforces commitment, conditions follow through, and transforms vague ambitions into tangible outcomes. Understanding and applying this principle consistently allows the mind to act with purpose rather than hesitation, turning procrastination into productive energy. The first step in leveraging deadlines is to define clear and realistic endpoints for every task. Ambiguous or flexible deadlines invite delay. Establish specific dates and times for completion, ensuring they are challenging enough to inspire focus yet attainable with disciplined effort. Concrete deadlines transform intentions into measurable expectations, creating a framework within which action becomes necessary. Each defined endpoint acts as a guide, directing energy toward what must be accomplished rather than what could be deferred. Break larger projects into sub-deadlines. Massive undertakings can feel overwhelming, making the final deadline intimidating or seemingly unattainable. Dividing work into smaller, time-bound segments provides consistent markers of progress. Each mini-deadline serves as a checkpoint, reinforcing momentum, accountability, and clarity. Daily or weekly targets prevent last-minute rushes, reduce stress, and condition the mind to approach large objectives systematically rather than chaotically. Visualize deadlines as catalysts, not threats. Instead of perceiving them as stress-inducing pressures, view deadlines as tools that clarify priorities, focus attention, and motivate action. This perspective reduces avoidance and anxiety, replacing hesitation with deliberate engagement. Deadlines signal what is important, guiding effort toward meaningful outcomes and preventing wasted energy on trivial or non-essential tasks. Incorporate time buffers strategically. While deadlines enforce commitment, unforeseen obstacles are inevitable. Allocate additional time to absorb minor disruptions without compromising the final objective. Time buffers ensure that setbacks do not derail progress while maintaining the psychological impact of the deadline. This balance strengthens reliability, resilience, and the ability to follow through consistently. Use publicatability to enhance the power of deadlines. Sharing intended completion dates with colleagues, mentors, or partners increases the psychological commitment to follow through. Social visibility generates external reinforcement, making procrastination less appealing. When others are aware of your targets, Internal resistance must compete with external expectations, motivating action even when energy or motivation is low. Pair deadlines with measurable milestones. Deadlines alone are insufficient if progress is not tracked. Identify specific outputs, deliverables, or actions that mark completion of a segment. Measuring progress provides feedback, maintains momentum, and reinforces the connection between effort and results. Milestones transform abstract goals into concrete achievements, making deadlines actionable rather than symbolic. Create consequences tied to missed deadlines. The mind responds strongly to stakes. Identify personal or external consequences that naturally follow failure to meet a deadline, such as reallocating time, reducing privileges, or taking corrective action. Consequences are not punitive, but serve to reinforce commitment and accountability. They provide a framework where procrastination has a clear cost, increasing the likelihood of consistent follow-through. Pair deadlines with rewards to reinforce positive behavior. Each successfully met deadline strengthens the habit of disciplined action. Rewards can be tangible, such as a break or treat, or intangible, like personal recognition or the satisfaction of progress. Combining accountability and reward trains the brain to associate deadlines with accomplishment rather than stress, increasing engagement and consistency over time. Plan backwards from the deadline. Begin with the endpoint and outline the steps necessary to reach it within the allotted time. Working backward ensures that all required tasks are accounted for and scheduled logically. This method creates realistic timelines, reduces the risk of omission, and provides a clear map for daily or weekly action. Planning in reverse turns deadlines into actionable guides rather than arbitrary markers. Leverage urgency to overcome procrastination. Even small deadlines create a psychological trigger that stimulates focus and effort. The awareness of limited time sharpens attention, accelerates decision-making, and strengthens persistence. By creating a sense of urgency, deadlines convert potential delay into immediate action and habitual responsiveness to time-bound expectations. Standardize personal deadlines across projects. Establishing consistent structures, such as weekly or monthly checkpoints, fosters habitual follow-through. Regular practice of meeting deadlines conditions the mind to operate within time constraints. Automatically, over time, the response to deadlines becomes ingrained, reducing hesitation and increasing efficiency without requiring continuous external enforcement. Combine deadlines with priority assessment. Not all tasks are equal. Align deadlines with the most important objectives to ensure energy is directed toward high-value actions first. Immediate deadlines for trivial tasks should be minimized, while key outcomes receive focused attention and structured timelines. This alignment maximizes productivity and reinforces purposeful action rather than reactive busyness. Use reminders and visual cues to maintain awareness. Clocks, calendars, digital alerts, or physical checklists serve as constant signals that the deadline exists and action is required. Visibility reduces the likelihood of unconscious delay, maintains focus on critical tasks, and reinforces the psychological effect of time-bound commitment. Each cue strengthens engagement and prevents procrastination from subtly encroaching. Incorporate reflection to evaluate deadline effectiveness. After completing a project or task, review whether the deadlines set were realistic, motivating, and effective in driving action. Identify areas for improvement in planning, segmentation, or enforcement. Reflection ensures that the system of deadlines evolves, becomes more accurate, and increasingly supports consistent follow-through in future endeavors. Balance discipline with flexibility. While deadlines create necessary structure, rigid adherence without consideration of context can be counterproductive. Adjust deadlines when legitimate changes occur, but maintain the principle of time-bound action. This approach preserves focus and commitment while allowing adaptability, ensuring sustained productivity without unnecessary stress. Practice daily mini deadlines for habit formation. Small, routine tasks with immediate deadlines condition the mind to respond promptly and develop consistency. Over time, the habit of meeting mini deadlines translates to improved performance on larger projects. Daily reinforcement strengthens discipline, reduces procrastination, and embeds responsiveness to time constraints into habitual behavior. Integrate deadlines into personal vision and goals. Each deadline should connect directly to long-term objectives, creating a bridge between immediate action and ultimate outcomes. This alignment ensures that the energy spent meeting deadlines contributes meaningfully to growth, success, and personal fulfillment. Deadlines cease to be arbitrary markers and become strategic tools for continuous progress. Recognize the psychological power of self-imposed deadlines. External demands are not always present, but self-imposed timelines cultivate the ability to take initiative. By creating personal deadlines, the habit of structured action, accountability, and timely follow-through is strengthened independently of external pressure. Self-imposed deadlines reinforce autonomy and build confidence in one's capacity to manage time effectively. Finally, understand that deadlines are a mechanism for converting thought into action. Procrastination exists where time is unlimited or vague. Structured, intentional deadlines create urgency, focus, and accountability, compelling follow-through even when motivation fluctuates. By mastering the use of deadlines consistently, every task gains clarity, every goal becomes actionable, and energy is directed toward meaningful achievement. Discipline becomes automatic, resistance diminishes, and progress compounds steadily. Mastering deadlines transforms the way time is perceived, harnessing it as an ally rather than a source of stress or delay, ensuring consistent results and the unstoppable momentum needed to crush procrastination permanently. Chapter 9. Track achievements daily to maintain motivation and momentum. Tracking achievements is one of the most powerful tools for maintaining motivation and momentum. Progress is often invisible unless it is measured, and when results are not recorded, the mind can feel as though effort is wasted, leading to stagnation and procrastination. Recording accomplishments daily transforms abstract effort into tangible evidence of growth. It creates a feedback loop that reinforces productive behavior, strengthens confidence, and sustains the drive necessary to continue taking action. Recognizing what has been achieved, no matter how small, turns every day into a building block for long-term success. Start by defining what counts as an achievement. Not every completed task or action needs to be recorded, but milestones that contribute meaningfully to goals should be noted. Identify key areas of progress, whether personal, professional, or skill-based, and create a simple method to document them. This clarity ensures that effort is captured accurately, reinforcing the connection between action and results. Use a consistent method for tracking. This could be a journal, a digital app, a spreadsheet, or even a simple checklist. The key is consistency and visibility. When achievements are recorded in the same place every day, the mind begins to associate action with measurable results. Over time, this creates a sense of accountability and habit that propels continued effort. Break down larger goals into measurable components. Big ambitions can feel overwhelming, and daily progress may seem insignificant without context. By segmenting goals into smaller, trackable steps, each accomplishment becomes meaningful. Crossing off a step, completing a segment, or achieving a mini target reinforces momentum and provides immediate feedback on progress. Set aside a dedicated time each day to review and record accomplishments. This reflection ensures that progress is acknowledged before it is overshadowed by new tasks. Taking even a few minutes each day to write down achievements reinforces the value of consistent action, strengthens focus, and allows the mind to recognize cumulative growth. Celebrate small wins. Every achievement, no matter the size, is evidence that effort produces results. Celebrating progress maintains motivation, boosts confidence, and encourages repeated action. Recognition does not require extravagance. A brief acknowledgement, a note to oneself, or a small reward can reinforce the habit of consistent effort and make progress feel tangible. Link achievements to long-term goals. Understanding how daily actions contribute to overarching objectives strengthens purpose and commitment. Tracking accomplishments without connecting them to meaningful outcomes risks turning the process into a mechanical task. When each step is seen as a deliberate move toward a greater goal, motivation deepens and effort becomes intentional rather than reactive. Visual representation amplifies motivation. Charts, graphs, or visual trackers make progress concrete and easily understood at a glance. Visual cues serve as reminders of effort already invested and the momentum gained, reducing the psychological weight of remaining work. Seeing progress accumulate creates a sense of inevitability and reinforces the habit of taking consistent action. Reflect on obstacles alongside achievements. Daily tracking is not just about noting success. It is also an opportunity to learn from challenges and setbacks. Recording difficulties, delays, or mistakes provides insight into patterns that hinder progress. Reflection enables adjustments to strategies, enhances problem solving, and ensures that future efforts are more effective. Pair achievement tracking with accountability. Sharing progress with a mentor, partner, or peer adds external reinforcement to internal tracking. The knowledge that someone else is aware of accomplishments increases commitment and reduces the likelihood of avoiding tasks. Accountability amplifies the psychological impact of daily progress, making motivation more reliable and continuous. Prioritize tracking meaningful achievements rather than every minor task. Recording every single action can become overwhelming and dilute focus. Concentrate on actions that move goals forward, generate real impact, or reinforce valuable habits. This ensures that the tracking process itself remains motivating rather than burdensome, reinforcing productivity without adding unnecessary work. Use achievements to identify strengths and growth patterns. Daily records reveal which approaches, strategies, or behaviors consistently lead to results. Recognizing patterns of success enables refinement, improvement, and the replication of effective actions. Understanding what works strengthens confidence, reduces wasted effort, and enhances the efficiency of future endeavors. Anchor motivation through a forward-looking perspective. Tracking achievements should not only celebrate past progress, but also create anticipation for future accomplishments. Each completed task becomes a stepping stone, a signal that the next action is achievable and meaningful. Momentum builds when the mind sees a continuous chain of progress leading toward larger objectives. Integrate reward systems to reinforce daily tracking. Linking achievements to small incentives increases engagement and the likelihood of consistent record keeping. Rewards can be as simple as a brief pause, a note of self-recognition, or a small indulgence. But they reinforce the value of consistent effort and make the habit of tracking psychologically satisfying. Review cumulative progress periodically. Beyond daily tracking, examining progress over weeks or months provides perspective on how consistent effort compounds. Seeing long-term growth reinforces the power of persistence, reduces doubt, and strengthens the belief in personal capability. Cumulative review transforms incremental effort into a visible trajectory of success. Anchor achievements to personal values. Recognizing accomplishments aligned with core principles or desired identity reinforces intrinsic motivation. Tracking actions that reflect personal standards, ethics, or long-term aspirations strengthens engagement, reduces internal conflict, and ensures that progress is meaningful rather than superficial. Address lapses constructively. Occasional missed actions or incomplete tasks are inevitable. Recording them honestly provides insight into barriers and triggers for procrastination. Constructive evaluation focuses on solutions and adjustments rather than self-blame, turning every setback into an opportunity for learning and reinforcing resilience in maintaining momentum. Integrate technology to simplify tracking. Digital tools, apps, and reminders reduce friction in recording achievements. Automation, notifications, and visual dashboards streamline the process, ensuring consistency and freeing mental energy for action rather than administration. Technology can enhance motivation by providing instant feedback, clear metrics, and accessible records of progress. Pair tracking with reflective journaling. Beyond noting what was completed, recording thoughts, feelings, and lessons learned adds depth to progress tracking. Reflection creates awareness of personal growth, highlights emotional and cognitive patterns, and reinforces the connection between effort and development. This dual approach strengthens both external productivity and internal insight. Use achievements to strengthen identity and confidence. Consistently seeing completed actions fosters a belief in capability, reliability, and competence. Each recorded success reinforces the perception of being someone who follows through, meets commitments, and takes action despite challenges. This identity-based reinforcement amplifies motivation, making consistency easier over time. Finally, recognize that tracking achievements daily transforms effort into visible progress, sustaining motivation and momentum through clarity, accountability, and reflection. Daily records prevent the erosion of focus, reduce procrastination, and make the journey toward goals tangible. By consistently recording and reviewing accomplishments, momentum becomes self-reinforcing, confidence grows steadily, and every action contributes to measurable growth. Chapter 10. Reward progress to strengthen habits and drive continuous action. Rewarding progress is a critical mechanism for building habits and sustaining action. Every effort, every completed task, and every step forward carries energy that can either fade unnoticed or be harnessed to reinforce behavior. The human mind responds powerfully to recognition and reward, using positive reinforcement to strengthen patterns that are repeated consistently. By intentionally rewarding progress, habits are solidified, motivation is enhanced, and the momentum needed to overcome procrastination becomes self-perpetuating. Recognizing accomplishment transforms routine effort into meaningful progress and ensures that action becomes habitual rather than sporadic. Start by defining what constitutes meaningful progress. Not all actions deserve equal acknowledgement, but milestones that advance goals or reinforce desired behavior should be identified. Clarifying what counts as progress ensures that rewards are tied directly to achievement rather than arbitrary completion. This alignment strengthens the association between effort and positive outcomes, reinforcing the habit loop that underpins consistent action. Choose rewards that are immediate, tangible, and personally motivating. The brain responds best when a positive consequence follows an action without delay. This creates a direct link between effort and gratification, reinforcing the likelihood of repeating the behavior. Tangible rewards can be simple, such as a brief break, a favorite activity, or a small treat, but they must be meaningful enough to generate psychological impact. Balance intrinsic and extrinsic rewards to maximize effectiveness. Intrinsic rewards, like the satisfaction of finishing a task, pride in skill improvement, or personal growth, provide deep, long-lasting motivation. Extrinsic rewards, like treats, leisure activities, or acknowledgement from others, complement intrinsic satisfaction and reinforce immediate action. Combining both forms ensures that habits are strengthened internally while also benefiting from external reinforcement. Tie rewards to specific actions or milestones rather than offering a reward at random. Link it directly to an accomplishment that demonstrates progress. This precision conditions the brain to recognize effort as valuable and increases the likelihood of repeating productive behavior. Rewards anchored to measurable outcomes transform vague intentions into concrete motivation. Use a tiered reward system to maintain engagement. Small achievements can trigger minor rewards, while larger milestones earn more significant acknowledgement. This approach maintains consistent reinforcement, provides frequent feedback, and aligns effort with growing accomplishments. Tiered rewards create a structured incentive system that supports continuous action and reduces the temptation to delay or skip tasks. Incorporate variety to prevent habituation. Repeating the same reward for similar actions can diminish its impact over time. Rotate incentives, introduce new activities, or modify recognition methods to keep the motivational effect strong. Novelty maintains attention, prevents complacency, and sustains engagement in the long-term process of habit formation. Celebrate progress publicly when appropriate. Sharing achievements with a mentor, peer, or social network enhances accountability and amplifies the psychological benefits of reward. Public acknowledgement provides additional reinforcement, strengthens commitment to future action, and creates social motivation that complements internal incentives. Recognition from others transforms effort into a visible accomplishment, reinforcing self-discipline and persistence. Pair rewards with reflection to deepen impact. After completing a task and receiving a reward, spend time reviewing what was accomplished and how it contributes to long-term goals. This reflection connects immediate gratification with sustained purpose, reinforcing the alignment between effort and meaningful outcomes. Reflection ensures that rewards are not merely indulgent, but strategic tools that cultivate continuous improvement. Use rewards to counter resistance and procrastination. When hesitation arises, the promise of a tangible or meaningful reward can tip the balance in favor of action. Anticipating the positive outcome encourages initiation, sustains effort, and creates a psychological mechanism for overcoming delay. Rewards become a bridge from intention to completion, reducing the mental friction that leads to procrastination. Use small, frequent rewards for daily habits and larger rewards for substantial achievements. This approach maintains a balance between maintaining momentum and celebrating significant milestones. Frequent small rewards ensure that daily effort is recognized, while larger rewards for major accomplishments reinforce the importance of long-term persistence and dedication. Track reward impact to refine motivation strategies. Observe how different forms of recognition influence engagement and consistency. Adjust reward types, timing, and magnitude to maximize their reinforcing power. Monitoring effectiveness ensures that rewards continue to drive action and that habits remain resilient against procrastination. Incorporate social reinforcement where possible. Mentors, colleagues, or accountability partners can provide encouragement, acknowledgement, or praise that strengthens the psychological effect of reward. Social validation enhances the intrinsic value of accomplishment and reinforces the habit loop through external affirmation. Use reward anticipation strategically. The expectation of a positive outcome can motivate initiation and sustain effort through challenging tasks. Anticipation activates commitment, increases focus, and reduces hesitation. By structuring rewards so that the mind looks forward to acknowledgement, behavior is reinforced even before completion occurs. Pair rewards with incremental progress. Recognize that habit formation and productivity are cumulative. Rewarding partial completion encourages sustained effort, prevents burnout, and reinforces the value of continuous action. Incremental acknowledgement maintains engagement throughout the process rather than waiting for final outcomes. Combine rewards with habit stacking. Link new productive behaviors to existing routines and reinforce them with consistent acknowledgement. This approach strengthens both the new and established habits, creating a network of behaviors that support long-term consistency, momentum, and personal growth. Understand that rewards are a tool for conditioning action rather than indulgence. Their purpose is to reinforce consistent effort, strengthen habits, and ensure follow-through. When applied thoughtfully, they transform effort from obligation into engagement, hesitation into action, and intention into repeated accomplishment. Finally, recognize that rewarding progress is not a superficial exercise. It is a fundamental strategy for sustaining momentum, building habits, and crushing procrastination permanently. Daily acknowledgement, strategic incentives, and meaningful reinforcement embed persistence into behavior, making action automatic and progress inevitable. The consistent application of rewards ensures that every step forward is noticed, appreciated, and used to strengthen the ongoing cycle of effort, achievement, and growth. By mastering the practice of rewarding progress, habits are cemented, motivation is sustained, and procrastination loses all power, creating a life defined by consistent action, personal growth, and unstoppable momentum.